The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health.
Morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Happening in Health. Got a great show planned for you this morning, a full 90 minutes. April is Donate Life Month, so we are dedicating this half hour to those who know the power of life when you pass it on. To help us kick this off, we are welcoming Sherry and Lee Patterson. A few years ago, Sherry needed a liver donor. We share how she found it and what it means for her family today, and her very important message they still continue to share. And of course, there are plenty of people that still need organ transplants and are on the list, you might say. So many that we can help, we can save lives. So joining us, we're also going to hear today from Elena. Elena's here with her mom, Jean, and Darcy Gibson from Off the List. Together, they have an amazing campaign, and you could be Elena's hero. But first, quick headline for you today. It is in Gut Instinct. That morning cup of coffee may have yet another hidden health benefit. It could support your gut microbiomes. In a large study published in Nature Microbiology, researchers found that coffee drinkers have an abundance of specific gut bacterium, as it's called. Now, this is a fun one. It's called Lacinobacter oligosacticus. It's found in coffee, and it's even in decaf coffee. And consumption of this is associated with higher levels of this in your gut. And so if you have this in separate lab tests, researchers found that the coffee can stimulate the growth of this particular species, and this bacterium is associated with higher levels of a certain acid called quinic acid, which has antioxidant properties that reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, all linked to disease. All right, our top story this half hour is in our Donor of the Week, as you say, dedicated to donors. It honors donors that give the gift of life through blood donation. We know, no question about it, blood donors help save others' lives, but now there is new research that shows you may also be able to help your own health when you give blood. Not that any of that matters to Barbara Whitehead. She's been a regular blood donor since she realized how these donations make a difference.
My friend's husband had cancer and needed a blood transfusion, and so we donated blood for him.
But it turns out that Barbara and others here at this Ohio drive for Hawksworth Blood Centers, such as Adam McConaughey,
obviously donation's important, it saves lives,
may be getting an added health benefit, according to London researchers. They found frequent blood donors may experience subtle genetic changes that could lower the risk of developing certain blood cancers. As to why?
What's interesting is we know through challenge we make things better. Exercise makes the body stronger. Similarly, if you're donating blood, you're doing cellular exercise.
Blood donor specialist Dr. Carolyn Alquist says it all has to do with what's called improved stem cell activity, or the ability to generate new cells in response to a challenge.
So donating blood regularly teaches your stem cells to make red cells and platelets more effectively.
To find this out, researchers compared two groups of donors for nearly 40 years. Those who gave blood 5 times a year, more likely to have a mutation not typically linked to cancer, compared to those who gave only 3 times a year. While more research is needed to know if this is a cause rather than just a connection, those who donate blood say they just feel good when they give.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I just love the fact that they're doing this.
Well, we love that you are donating, and if you are interested in donating blood, you have a chance to receive this limited time Cincinnati Reds hat as a thank you if you're donating in the near future. Looks pretty nice at the ballpark too, doesn't it? Roll up your sleeves, save a life, get rewarded. Hawksworth will also host their annual, what they call Pitching for Platelets experience. It continues, and all platelet donors who give 3 or more times from April 1st through May 31st will win a VIP experience at a Reds game in July. So kind of cool there. Not that you do it for those reasons, but if you can make an appointment, here's the number, 513-451-0910. All right, up next, we call it Healthy on the Go. Transportation is an important part of good health. We'll share more about a program helping older adults. And Sherry got a liver, but now she is changing the world, helping others. We explain how this Donate Life Month. It is next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Metro and Gastro Health.
Morning once again, and Healthy on the Go today. A local program supports older adults by giving them an option to nursing home care. Instead of going to the nursing home, they go to the PACE program. PACE stands for Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. Those 55 and older who qualify for this kind of care can get picked up at home and taken to the PACE program here in Erlanger. It provides everything from medical care to support, as well as daytime activities. Here's what some of the team told us on last week's show. They researched the area and showed a need.
The community came together to figure out how they could help support those older individuals to age in place, to age in community, and so the concept of PACE was born.
I think transportation is a lifeline for PACE. Without it, we wouldn't be able to bring our participants into our center to see our doctor, our social worker, physical, occupational therapy, but just for the socialization with others. I was driving the bus for a while, and it was a joy to be on the bus, to greet them every day. I would be the last face they see at the end of the day, and the stories they would talk about just spending time at the center was just heartwarming to me.
If you would like to learn more about this program, we have a phone number for you, 859-970-2450. All right, we are kicking off National Donate Life Month. We are so grateful to have in-house Sherry and Lee Patterson. Remind us a little bit about you.
I was on the transplant list for 2.5 years, and finally in October of 2021, I received my life-saving liver. And now I'm advocating for organ donation. It's just a passion of mine now.
I love that you have continued to give back, because I think once you can go on with a healthy life, it makes a difference. Yeah. And I know your wonderful husband, Lee, you kind of lived in that process, and we were looking back through some of our video with your story, and I remember you almost being near hospice care, and you lived through that with her. Tell me about that.
Man, it was, I'm watching her like go away. I mean, it was like that, but it was, I don't know, there was like this part of the connection I just didn't want to let go. So I'm telling you, human connection is a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. So I think one of the reasons that we've loved to talk to you is that you needed a liver donor, and we can now do living liver donation. Yeah. And a lot of people, they're a little more familiar with kidneys, but not liver. Tell me a little bit about what you tell people about that.
So a lot of the criteria has changed at the center that I got my liver in. So it's much easier to get a transplant now, where even when I was getting one, not as easy. Being on that list was surreal, and it brought it to life for me that I could lose my life. And the further that I went, and actually entering into hospice care, right, and them telling me that I'm dying, and then I felt it, right? So I just, I know what it feels like, and then I know what it feels like to be, to wake up and be alive. And it's just super important to me to get the word out that organ donation saves lives. It saves lives. I wouldn't be sitting here today. I wouldn't be.
Healthy and beautiful.
Healthy and living life to the fullest.
And so you only need a piece of someone's liver.
Yes, just a piece, and then their liver grows back. So not that big of a deal, right? Surgery, kind of a big deal, but and then the piece of that person's liver will go into the recipient's liver, and then their liver regenerates. Yeah. It's an amazing program. I unfortunately didn't qualify for that program till later on. I didn't. I did for a while, and then my liver got too bad. So
yeah, you have to have a certain level of health to be able to do that.
Yeah, we had all kinds of family members and friends put in to be a donor for me, and then his son was approved. But by the time he got finished, I needed a full liver. Oh, I needed a deceased liver. So the program it's amazing that they can do that. And now they have a machine at the center at UC that'll keep the liver viable So
I know it's
Yeah.
been amazing even in the past few years to see what's happened. We have a little video of your transplant team doing a liver procedure.
Wow.
Lee, do you remember her going in for surgery? And then I remember within days how much better she looked, how much better she felt.
She was on life support for a day and a half because they didn't close her up right away. So I was just watching her on life support, and I just remember thinking, God, if she doesn't come out of this. But when she woke up, she was trying to pull. She was trying to get out of the thing. She did not want to. All of those
probably a good
machines.
sign.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, she's back.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sherry's feisty self.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But as soon as I saw her, I mean, as soon as she started speaking, I instantly knew, because when you have high ammonia levels in the brain, you really don't realize that you can see that person's not there.
Well, and the liver filters, the reason you have high ammonia levels, the liver
Absolutely.
filters everything in the body.
Yeah.
People don't realize you can like restart the heart, but the liver goes and it's shutting down. So what do you tell people now? Do you tell people my wife is alive because a family said yes?
I tell them that, I tell them that, of course, donating their organs is vital, because you don't exist without human connection.
Right.
So when you really look at what that did, meeting you even was a part of that connection, but once that actually put a liver, I didn't realize how important the liver was. It's more important than the heart, from what they were saying. But really, when you look at it, what it did was it was phenomenal. I mean, it changed everything. Just this person that isn't here,
Yeah.
but
Isn't that
she's
bad?
here.
Yeah.
So that person gets to be here. And it's a part of our connection now, and it's so surreal.
So I'll give you the final word for Donate Life Month. I think people need to know, living or deceased, you can do what?
just say yes. Just say yes to organ donation. You can go online, donatelife.org, and you can register online. Because somebody said yes, either them or their family said yes, I'm sitting here with my husband, my son, still has his mother, and he's so grateful, and I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to be here. I know that I'm here to help advocate for organ donation. That's a part of the reason that I've been saved, right? I wouldn't be here if you weren't sitting here. I wouldn't be here without you.
We just doctor connected you.
Yeah.
That was all. We got lucky. Yeah.
It just was such an amazing process. And there's so many misconceptions with organ donation. Go on to donatelife.org, look at those frequently asked questions, and check and see. There's no age limit. You can do it at any age. Religious reasons, there's not very many religious organizations that are not advocates for organ donation. You know, even if you've got a disease of some kind, you can still donate your organs. One person can save up to 7 lives and affect up to 75 lives with tissue and bone and things like that. So what are you going to do with them when you're gone? Please don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here. We need them here.
Well said. Thank you, guys. We do have a link. You mentioned donatelife.org, but we have a link at what'shappeninginhealth.com. We'd love to have you just say yes, or at least get your questions answered. As you say, that's the important part. We'll be following you all month. I know you're going to be out there as the advocate. Can't wait to see what God is doing with your life.
It's going to be a big month.
Yeah, it's a blessing. Thanks for being here and starting it with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good to have
Thank you
you.
for having us.
All right, just ahead, new research that says your smartphone might not be bad, even if you're a kid. And we are going to welcome Darcy, Elena, and Jean. They're going to continue our discussion and Waiting for Life. It's next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Northern Kentucky Area Development District.
Welcome back, everybody, in High Tech Health today. New study on smartphone use in children showed some surprising results. The findings by the University of South Florida found kids ages 11 to 13 who have their own smartphones were actually less likely to report depression or anxiety, and they spent more time in person with friends. But the study also found social media use by kids can be harmful to their mental health if we overdo it. All right, we want to continue this discussion now in a wonderful segment we do here called Waiting for Life. And we have a young lady who is waiting for a living kidney donor. So because it's hard to ask people, let alone for a $5, loan, let alone a body part, we're going to let your advocate here speak for us. Tell us who you are.
So my name's Jeannie Prouse, and this is Elena, my 19-year-old daughter. We found out by accident. We were at the hospital for unrelated issues, and her blood pressure was through the roof. Her protein in her urine was so high it couldn't be measured. So they immediately, referred us to a nephrologist. So she was with Children's here in Cincinnati for a long time until her kidney function is now at 15. No, 19, I'm sorry. At 15, she'd need to be on dialysis. So,
and dialysis is not fun. For people not familiar with dialysis, Darcy, talk to us a little bit about what that involves.
Yeah, dialysis is hard. I mean, it affects your quality of life. There are some people that are on dialysis, 7 days a week, all night, quote unquote, while they're sleeping. Not really. Machines are beeping and things are not going smoothly. If they're not doing dialysis at night, then they're going to a clinic 3 to 4 times a week.
And what does that do for the body?
So it's filtering those toxins out of the blood because the kidneys can't do it. So we're grateful because it's keeping people alive, but it's very hard on the body. And after a number of years, the mortality rates increase, and it really starts to affect the cardiovascular function. So it's a treatment for kidney failure, but we believe that people that can get a transplant, that's the better treatment.
Yeah. So Darcy is with Off the List, a wonderful organization that helps people like Elena get the word out. So this is kind of a scary time for you. What do you tell people about it?
Really that I'm just trying to get a kidney to do all of the fun activities I used to. I want to play my co-ed with a couple coworkers, but I can't do that. I'm really tired all the time, so.
It's because your body's working overtime to do what your kidneys can.
I work full time, off weekends, but right after work I just really want to go home and relax and not do anything the rest of the night.
So what have you learned about organ donation, living organ donation? How simple is it? Who can donate to you? Do you know?
I do not. I mean, just trying to get the word out as best as I can. Tell my friends to share my Facebook page, Instagram. That's about it, what I can do. Tell my cousins to try to help me out in any way.
But that helps, because we can all share things now. It's Be Elena's Hero.
Yes.
So, Mom, I know you've sort of had to help her find a hero.
Right. We're trying, and Darcy is a huge help.
Yeah.
She is adopted from Guatemala, so it's a little hard for her because she doesn't have any blood relatives. But it doesn't matter.
Logical, easy choice, but still, you only need one kidney.
Exactly.
You have 2, and we still might be a match. You just have to find out, right? Yeah.
So, and I mean, honestly, Liz, I tell people that a lot of our families, that they have found living donors that are not family.
Right.
They're not blood related.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people out there that are willing. We just have to continue to get the word out so that people understand you can live a full, healthy life with one kidney. You're in the hospital typically for 24 to 48 hours after you donate. You're back to exercise and running marathons and doing what you want, usually 4 to 6 weeks after. So, that it's a small period of time for a living donor to be uncomfortable. It's an impact for a lifetime for somebody like Elena, who is 19 and has her whole life ahead of her, right? And I know she has shared with me that, all of her energy is used working and just doing her basic things, right? But while her peers are going out and doing other things, she has to conserve that energy. And we want her to, I have a 19-year-old. I mean, we want her to be able to live a full, healthy life and do everything she dreams of.
Right. And Darcy started her organization because it was Dad that needed a kidney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And eventually that happened.
Yes.
So you've been working with the team at the Christ Hospital.
Yes.
And you heard our previous people talk a little bit about myths and things like that. Do you feel like you can at least help educate and let people know it's not a hard thing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I can teach people it's not a hard thing. Just go get tested is all really I ask.
Make the phone calls.
Make the phone calls, share
They'll
my page, try any way to just get the word out to everyone.
Yeah. Can I ask a little bit, did you feel like you were kind of already saved once with adoption, and then this is like another second chance at life? Because that's a great story.
Yeah, I came home at 10 months. Just my birth mom was, I think, a maid or something like that, and she just couldn't take care of me, but I understood it. It is really my dream, honestly, since I was maybe 15 to go back to Guatemala, not like for like a one vacation, like for a full month to try to find her, to say hi.
Tell me she wants the opportunity to, you know, to live her life.
But how wonderful that you've had this amazing mom, and now this amazing mom is also your, I don't know what you call it, your voice. To be out there. And how wonderful to give her the gift of life initially, or a different life, and then to have her do this. So I want to give you guys the final word. One of the things we do try to do on this is dispel myths, and we want people to know that if you want to become a living organ donor, there's no pressure, but even if you can sign that donor card, you know, you never know when you might be able to save a life that way. And one of the things we hear on that a lot is that they won't save your life if you sign that.
Not true.
So not true. Yeah. They will do everything to save you and perhaps someone else. So, you know, you're already making a difference in this world in a different way. And I know that's sort of what Off the List is all about.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we want to give you the number that would connect you to the person. You can take a little cheek swab, that's all you need. 513-585-1440, just to start the process. That's Jackie over at the Christ Hospital. She would love to talk to you. And you know, we love to have people back. You saw Sherry
Absolutely.
there. So we look forward. We're going to share your Facebook link. Be Elena's Hero on Facebook. If you can share that, go on, just share it with friends, get the word out there. We're going to look forward to having you back. We're going to trust that there's a process here. We've got all kinds of people looking out for you. All right. God bless you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Darcy.
Thank you.
We appreciate all you do to change lives. All right, just ahead, a universal COVID-19 vaccine in the works. We're going to explain how it works and what's happening in health. I want to leave you this half hour with a couple headlines. One is in legal medicine. Researchers say they've made progress in a universal vaccine that protects against multiple strains of COVID-19. Currently, the COVID vaccine needs to be updated often because the virus keeps mutating and changing. But research presented by the American Chemical Society found using newer techniques, they could potentially make a vaccine that helps the body create antibodies for multiple COVID strains, as well as the flu and perhaps even the common cold. All right, and in healthy diversity, the American Heart Association and the Center for Closing the Health Gap reminding us that women may present differently than men with heart attack symptoms, and this may be especially true in certain populations, such as those who are South Asian. This is video from the team at the Christ Hospital. They've created a research center related to women's heart health. Here's what the team told us their focus is with that center.
I myself am a patient there, and the way that we address the care and really focus on women's needs, our symptoms, and what we need to know about taking care of ourselves.
Heart attacks do look different in women compared to men. Rather than clutching a chest like we think of men may do stereotypically, women can experience pain that goes through the jaw, the neck, the arm, the back, and sometimes even the stomach. Finally, I want to leave you with the lack of deep sleep could increase your risk of Alzheimer's, according to a new study. The 2 critical sleep stages that you need to reduce these odds are slow wave sleep and rapid eye movement, or REM sleep. Experts say most adults should spend between 20 and 25% of each night in this kind of sleep. Study found that those who don't spend enough time in those could hasten the stages or deterioration in the parts of the brain related to Alzheimer's disease. All right, just ahead in our next half hour, researchers work to help those who've lost a sense of smell. We'll tell you about that coming up on What's Happening in Health.
The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by Mayfield Braden Spine.
Morning, everybody. Welcome back to our second half hour here on What's Happening in Health. So grateful that you are sharing your Sunday morning with us. Got a great rest of the program for you, beginning with support for parents. The team at Mount St. Joseph University has a remarkable social work program, and they also have what's called a Parenting Academy. Joanna Richardson, the program director for the Parenting Academy, and Jennifer Withrow, give me a quick wave there. They are in-house. She's the chairperson and program director for the social work program at Mount St. Joe, and they are here to tell us all about it. So glad to have you guys here. And from gun locks to coasters, how a simple message may reduce the odds of suicide in our community. Joining us this half hour to explain how all this works together, we welcome Mike Farmer from the Butler County Veterans Service Commission. So nice to have you with us. But first, quick headline for you today. If you are training to run a marathon, some good news this season. Despite more of us choosing to run these events, the risk of dying during a race is actually on the decline. Study by Emory University looked into sudden cardiac arrest during long-distance running events. Researchers found while the rate of heart attacks has not changed, the chance for survival has doubled. This, of course, all likely due to more emergency health workers and services being readily accessible now at these races. On now to our top story this half hour in Your Healthy Future, as we call it. Nearly 500 measles cases have been reported in the U.S. 97% of them said to be in those who are not vaccinated. But there are a few that are what are called breakthrough cases of measles, and here's why.
That one dose of vaccine prevents about 95% of the cases, and 2 doses of the vaccine is 97 to 98% of the cases are prevented.
So that is our team at Children's Hospital. Now, you say that means a small percentage, maybe 3 out of 100, do get a breakthrough case. It can be either from a primary vaccine failure, as it's called, where your body doesn't respond to the vaccine, or secondary vaccine failure, where you respond initially and then that response drops over time. Good news is those vaccinated still have cases that are less severe than those who are unvaccinated. And with measles, severity matters. All right, finally topping this half hour, healthy innovations, as we call it. A health benefit for pregnant women may come from an unusual source, chili. We love our chili here, don't we? A study by the University of Buffalo actually found that pregnant women who ate chili once a month had a 4% lower chance of developing gestational diabetes, which can impact both the mom and the baby. And this may be because both beans and chili powder are said to help improve your blood sugar levels. All right, just ahead, shaping up this spring with the help of water exercise. We share why this is good for body and soul in aging gracefully. And our team from Mount St. Joseph University, so glad to have you joining us. We're talking Parenting Academy with Joanna and Jennifer next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Life Enriching Communities, NKADD, Hawksworth, and Aptiva Health.
In Aging Gracefully today, the team at Life Enriching Communities says if you're looking for a great way to shape up and slim down as the weather gets warmer, you may want to take up a water workout. These can help burn calories, they're easy on your joints, and they give your heart the kind of exercise it needs. Here's what the Wellness Services Director at Life Enriching Communities Twin Lakes Connection told us about it.
One of our favorite things in the water workouts is the culture we bring here. So exercise is not just physical wellness. There's also a community here, and we focus on social wellness.
That, of course, critical to our good health as well. If you'd like to learn more about this program or this water exercise program, you can contact their toll-free number. It's 877-532-1899. Well, on now to a wonderful segment here. We usually call it Ask a Nurse because you have a wonderful nursing program at Mount St. Joseph University. But today it's Ask a Social Worker and Ask a Parenting Expert. So yes. How do we like that? We can make them whatever we want. So glad to have you here. Remind us who you are.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Withrow, Program Director and Chair of the Social Work Program at Mount St. Joe.
And you brought friends.
I did.
Hello.
Hi.
What is your name?
My name is Joanna Richardson. I am the Program Director of the Parent Academy program and also our social worker in our Wellness Center here at Mount St. Joe.
No small thing. I think there's a special place in heaven for social workers, just so you know.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
But I love even the idea of having something to guide parents. I have a girlfriend who was a single mom, and one day her son decided he was going to, at school with a friend, climb out the bathroom window. And I was with her, and we went to pick him up, and she just gets out of the car, and she's so mad. She's like, there should be an award for being a parent. And I'm like, no one, I said, there's not a manual. No one ever guides you. So tell me how this came about. Was it through the social work program?
Well, actually, we were approached from a community partner through SICE and their funders to join together to start this program because it blends our mission perfectly at the Mounts as well as within our own social work program when it comes to service to others and a commitment to lifelong learning. And so we felt that the social work program was a great place and a great program to kick off this program serving SICE schools and their communities. And so we started that by hiring Joanna, who has been a perfect facilitator for engaging our families at those schools. And our first school that we have started is at Holy Family in Price Hill. So we're really excited with our partnership with SICE.
Okay, real quick before I get to her, what's SICE?
SICE
SICE is Catholic Inner City Schools Education.
Okay, we have to define acronyms in TV. We're not allowed to use them unless we do. So that's the journalism rule. So tell me then, what is the Parenting Academy?
Yeah, so the Parent Academy's mission is to break the cycle of poverty by helping more low-income students access a college pathway. And so with this, we do this and achieve this by empowering parents to give them the information and strategies needed to assist their child academically and on their path to college and career readiness.
So we have a little video of just parents and kids, but how do you do this? Do you physically go to the schools during classes? Do you have them at night? Just talk me through the logistics.
Yeah, so it's an eight-week program, and so we go to the school, so we go to Holy Family, and we eliminate those barriers by providing transportation, by providing meals, and our big one is by providing childcare as well. So parents get to bring their children to these sessions, you know, and it just feels more like an inclusive environment and things like that.
So it's interesting to me, there must be topics to the sessions or things that, did you survey parents and find out what we need or,
Yeah, so some of the topics include like human connection and advocacy, parents and caregivers as influence. We talk about brain and grit, neuroplasticity, what that looks like, and also like college and career readiness.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And what ages can the kids be, or does it matter?
Yes, ages from like 2 to 8. I mean, the schools are like Catholic elementary schools, so some of the babies are there as well, but it doesn't really matter.
And those are such impressionable years. You know, like as a dietitian, even, you know, your eating habits are formed then and things like that. And we're seeing so many things that get formed in that early part of life. So we also have a little video of the Mount, and you said this fits in your mission of service. So I'm wondering how this has been received. You know, what are you seeing for success? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, and so we have had great responses from other SICE schools who want to bring our program to them. So we actually have a school already lined up for fall, and Joanna's going to be working on next spring. But the success really comes from the parents' engagement and showing up every single week to this class. And so we are giving them the tools. Like you said, parenting doesn't come with a handbook. Getting your child ready for college or career can be very overwhelming, especially for those families who have not had someone go to college before. So explaining the processes, explaining, okay, I don't want to go to college, but this is what I want in a career. And so we have put together careers where you can explore and what their pay is, so that you are not, we are rising families out of poverty. And that is how it blends with Mount St. Joseph and the social work, as we are dedicated to social justice and lifting individuals up and giving them the tools that they need to be successful in life, however they define that. But we are very strategic in providing them with the wealth of information that they need for their own self-determination for their families. And we have even had parents then have expressed interest in going to college themselves.
Yes,
so
that's
very
a true
exciting.
measure of success.
Yes.
So we're going to put up a website. We know that people will see this and reach out to you. But just last thought then, the students participate as part of this or not from Mount St. Joe?
Yes, the students can participate as like being like a child care provider, you know, assisting me with things like that.
I just wondered if getting them engaged is just like, you know, puts them on fire.
Yes, and that's another point of community engagement, which is one of our mission, part of our mission statement at both for MSJ and the social work program. And so we have service learning opportunities, paid co-op opportunities for our students, and that's all because of the funders of the SICE program.
Yeah.
So we have them to thank for all of the opportunities that we're able to provide for families and our students as well. For
and
engagement.
I heard you say MSJ, Mount St. Joseph University.
Yes.
I know what that, see the acronym thing will pop in there.
Yes,
We don't even
thank
know
you.
it, huh? All right. Thank you guys. We are
Thank
so glad you're here. I'm
you.
getting the hard
Thank
rap
you.
in my ear, but I'm so glad to have you. We will put the word out, and I know there will be a waiting list pretty soon for this. No question about it. Parenting or not, you want to learn.
Yes,
Thank you so
thank you
much
so
for being
much.
here
No,
today.
thank
We
you
love
for
it.
having us.
Yeah, good to have you. All right, just ahead. Never too late to start eating well, and it's never too early either. We're going to explain why and wait no more. And Mike Farmer's here. He's going to share some really important steps that his team has learned about suicide prevention. Stay with us on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Miami University, the Vein Center of Cincinnati, and Lindner Center of Hope.
In Wait No More, it is never too early to start eating well, and apparently it's never too late either. Healthier diet, even in middle age, can help extend your life. A study by Harvard researchers found people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who had a diet high in plant-based food but low in animal-based and ultra-processed foods had a greater chance of making it to age 70 without any chronic illnesses. People who ate more processed meat and sugary drinks had a lower chance of aging healthy. All right, on now to some important information from our Butler County Veterans Service Commission. Tell us a little bit about your organization and who you are.
Good morning. Butler County Veterans Service Commission services about 19,900 veterans in Butler County. And then we also have about 5,000 to 7,000 surviving spouses and dependent children that we serve. We serve an arrangement of benefits ranging from local, state, and federal benefits across all spectrums. And we really aim to cut the red tape and assist veterans or their family members in connecting with the Department of Veterans Affairs and benefits in which they may have earned.
So, you know, of course, our mission is always to serve the veterans the way they've served us, and yet you hear that red tape word, and you hear that a lot. But one of the reasons I reached out to you is you have a program that works with suicide prevention. And sadly, this is a population where we've seen that just mounting. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we really started taking a close look at veteran suicides beginning about 3 years ago. And last year in 2024, we saw a total of 7 veterans die by suicide in Butler County. Through the first 8 weeks of this year, 2025, we've already seen 7 veterans die by suicide. So that's at a very alarming rate, and it's kind of setting off a lot of red flags. So what we know year to date is that veterans in Butler County are 9 times more likely to die of suicide than a non-veteran.
Do we know what's behind that?
We don't know the full what's behind it in every case, and it's very complex. We're working with the coroner's office and a lot of different mental health agencies, the Department of Veterans Affairs, to try to get the word out, educate, expedite. I think it's a really important conversation. It's one that many don't want to talk about just because it's a hard topic to have that discussion with your family member or a friend.
And there's always this fear that if you talk about it, you're going to encourage it as opposed to discourage it, which isn't true, is it?
It's a complete myth. Just because I ask, are you having thoughts of suicide or are you having thoughts of hurting yourself? That does not in any way have any factor on you going and following through with those actions. So they're really important questions that we can ask. But the most important thing as a community, whether it's your family member, it's your spouse, a friend, we need to know the warning signs, and we need to look for those periods where sudden irritability, loss of sleep, withdrawing from things that they used to like or be heavily engaged in. Those are all early indicators that something is wrong with mental health, and they should get treatment.
And the problem is that those are fairly broad. You know, a lot of us have trouble sleeping at different times in our lives for a number of reasons, you know, so you wouldn't necessarily pick up on maybe just one of those,
You wouldn't, but as they start to pile up, it becomes, you know, what we've seen in past cases is that the warning signs were there. Nobody thought that it could happen to their family member or their friend.
Yeah, you hear that a lot, sadly. So one of the unique things you've done, we have a story that kind of sets up what you've done that shares a little bit about the small changes you've made. So I just want to go ahead and play that story.
Well, I served in Vietnam, and I was in the U.S. Army.
Veteran Mark Applegate told me he knows how important it is to interrupt that crisis time. He remembers the challenges of returning to civilian life.
We were isolated back then. We weren't treated the same way that we are today, thank goodness.
Mark and Mike Farmer now serve on the Butler County Veterans Services Board Suicide Prevention Committee. Both say isolation can raise a risk a veteran will take their own life.
We say 17 nationally die a day, veterans of suicide, 17 a day. But if you dive down locally, it's about a veteran every 3 days just in our county.
So to try and change those numbers, they launched a 24/7 suicide prevention hotline for veterans. They also stepped up veteran support programs, including those that interrupt immediate action that could lead to suicide.
We provide gun locks in our lobby. We go through hundreds of them.
And because the 2024 VA's annual National Veteran Suicide Prevention Report last year showed a slight spike in suicides among veterans under age 45, they put messaging about suicide in places younger veterans may hang out.
We printed coasters with the crisis line on it.
As for progress, Mike told me in the 2 years they've been tracking, it's been steady.
We did lose 7 in Butler County specifically in 2024. We lost 9 in Butler County in 2023.
The biggest barrier? Getting veterans to know it's okay to ask for help.
To me, it takes a lot of courage to ask for help, particularly when you're dealing with mental health.
Does it ever? It really does take courage because it's so uncomfortable, especially I think with a veteran, to ask for help when they've been the helper. So I just want to follow up with those. Do you provide those coasters in your community, the gun locks still?
We do have coasters. If there's a business or an organization, whether they serve alcoholic drinks or standard beverages, we'd be happy if they contact our office to get them some coasters. And also gun locks. Gun locks are so important because overwhelmingly lethal means is the number one methodality, not just in Butler County, but across the entire nation. So we know that veterans own guns. If you own a gun and you don't have a gun lock, please come by and we'll be glad.
So we have a graphic of that too, if you guys can swap that out, because that looks like just a small thing, but what's the idea? It just stops
So it's
the
a very
brain?
small thing, but what we see is that veterans in crisis, that crisis or that ultimate time is less than 5 minutes. So if we can pause somebody's thinking long enough to hesitate to need to get a gun lock off, it may save their life. It may be long enough for them to choose to call a crisis line over taking a firearm.
Wow, you wouldn't think that small amount would make a difference. We also want to put up that hotline. If you know someone or you just want to keep this number around, as you said, those warning signs are coming up. Is there one thing that if we leave people with, is it to have this number if you have any
I think the most important thing is to have this number. If you need a magnet for your fridge, contact my office. We'll be glad to mail it to you. But have the number and don't be afraid to call it. They're there 24/7. They're happy to talk. Whether you think it's a large issue to you or it could be a little minute thing, if you need somebody to talk to, they're there 24/7.
Well, thank you for your information. More than anything else, we'll put links to all their services at what'shappeninginhealth.com. And thank you for your service.
You're
As a
welcome.
soldier's daughter, I am just grateful you were here.
My pleasure. Thanks, Liz.
Pleasure to have you. All right, just ahead, artificial intelligence can really help with hearing loss. We're going to explain how and listen to this. And we're going to welcome a team from the University of Cincinnati, UC Health. They are here in our next half hour. We want to say hello to Barb, to Ron, and to Jane. They are talking breakthrough research. Give me a quick wave there. Great to have you guys in-house. Can't wait to tell you about it on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Network for Hope, William E. Hesh Law, and Serene Sweets.
In You're So Vain today, your vascular system linked to a healthy heart. And now an important warning about certain medications linked to a new heart danger. People who take antidepressants face a substantially higher risk of cardiac arrest. Now, even though we don't know why, a study by the European Society of Cardiology found people who took these drugs for 1 to 5 years had a 56% higher risk of sudden cardiac death compared to people who did not. The risk was even higher for people who took these medications 6 or more years. And listen to this today. Artificial intelligence now helping people hear better in a whole new way. For the first time in hearing technology, a dedicated AI chip provides speech clarity.
These figures look really encouraging. Yeah, I agree. Let's set up a meeting. These figures look really encouraging. Yeah, I agree. Let's set up a meeting.
Hear the difference on this construction site? As this video provided by Phonak shows, this deep sonic chip provides what audiologist Dr. Stephanie Grace refers to as spheric speech clarity. It's a second chip added to these tiny hearing assistance devices to separate speech from noise.
So what this means for the patient is when they walk into a noisy environment, that first chip that's doing all the work says, hey, secondary chip, I need you to do your job now and help denoise the situation.
If you do work in a noisy environment, then the AI will help your hearing device make the switch. And this is likely to be really necessary these days, according to Dr. Matthew Kist of Kentucky's Lund Hearing Care, as more young people are diagnosed with hearing loss and need devices to boost hearing.
Yeah, the trend nowadays, it's becoming younger and younger, 40s into their 30s. I've even had some people I would consider colleagues my age starting to address their hearing, making sure they're getting custom hearing protection, making sure they're taking care of their hearing as long as they can.
To properly use AI adjusting hearing aids, you need them customized to your own ears. And in most cases, they're not covered by your medical insurance plan. But it is one example, Dr. Gray says, where you can clearly hear the swap.
Good idea. I'll send you the details.
When AI is used for listening.
Good idea. I'll send you the details.
And the end result has been phenomenal as far as helping these patients hear in those challenging listening environments.
We'd love to hear that, pardon the pun. If you have questions about this kind of technology or you'd like to hear how it sounds, you can call the Lund Hearing Team, 859-342-5846. We also have a link to this team and this AI technology inside the digital version of this story at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, in our next half hour, keeping you safe at Great American Ballpark, we're going to meet the event medicine team there. And we have a wonderful family in-house. We want to welcome the Mahafis. Robin, Jamie, and Danielle are joining us. They have quite a story of hope and healing. We'll tell you about it in our next half hour on What's Happening in Health.
The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by TriHealth.
Welcome back, everybody, to our third half hour here on What's Happening in Health. Got a great rest of the show for you. So glad you're here with us. First up, we want to welcome a team from the UC Blood Cancer Healing Center. They're going to share more on a breakthrough trial that is saving lives. Meet Ron and Barb Solomon and nurse practitioner Jane Temple. So glad to have you here for this half hour. Can't wait to share more details. And we have a wonderful family here, the Mahaffey family, joining us to share a journey of hope and healing. It's a remarkable story, and Jamie, Robin, and Danielle are going to tell us all about it. So glad to have you in-house today as well. But first, we do want to give you a quick headline. If you have an emergency or unexpected health concern at Great American Ballpark, the event medicine team with TriHealth is now at every game to assist you. Dave Stickle, the manager of event medicine, spoke to us previously on our What's Happening in Health show about AEDs and CPR care and all that they provide.
We'll be able to assist with any medical needs that come up. Should there be a medical emergency in the stand, one of the security staff or ushers will let us know and we'll come to you.
The medical office rooms they have are also on each floor of the ballpark as well, and you can also walk into those if you need minor care. In healthy caregiving today, new studies suggest not getting enough of the right kind of sleep could increase your risk for Alzheimer's disease. The two critical sleep stages are slow wave sleep and rapid eye movement, or REM sleep as it's called. Experts say most adults should spend between 20 and 25% of their each night in these sleep cycles. Study found not spending enough time in these two stages may hasten the deterioration of parts of the brain now associated with Alzheimer's disease. And in your Healthy Rights today, there is a big gap in how patients see the use of artificial intelligence in healthcare and how doctors see it. According to a new survey, physician enthusiasm for artificial intelligence in healthcare growing. 66% of physicians now using this in AI in 2024. That's up from about 40% in 2023. This according to the American Medical Association. They conducted a survey and found, however, that about 66% of American patients express low trust in healthcare systems that we will use it responsibly. This highlights a significant gap in perception. All right, up next, how well you sleep might be linked to how well you move. We have details of a new study on that in Healthy Conditions. And we welcome the team from the UC Blood Cancer Healing Center to share more on a breakthrough trial on pancreatic cancer. Ron, Barb, and Jane coming up next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion is sponsored by Good Samaritan College of Nursing and Health Science and the Mental Health Recovery Board of Warren and Clinton Counties.
In Healthy Conditions today, how you sleep could impact how well you are able to move in the future, according to a new study. A study led by the University of Michigan finds that women with chronic conditions such as diabetes, arthritis, and multiple sclerosis who have poor sleep are more likely to have trouble getting around easily. The researcher who led the study says the findings are concerning because sleep health is not something that is routinely evaluated in healthcare.
It looks like it may be a really important factor to consider when thinking about how someone might continue to function and maintain their independence as they age or as they live with a chronic condition. So our results are really helpful in highlighting sleep health as something that all healthcare professionals and indeed patients should be focused on and asking about if there's a problem.
Poor sleep health can lead to higher levels of inflammation, pain, and fatigue, all of which can affect your functioning every day. All right, on now to a wonderful husband and wife that we had a chance to get to know recently. They are part of a research trial at UC Health, and they brought along a wonderful person who makes a big difference in your life, doesn't she?
Yes, she's wonderful.
So introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
I'm Barb Solomon, his partner for over 50 years.
Oh, 50 years. And Ron, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous.
So Ron is the patient here, and we're going to share a story in just a moment about the remarkable success he's having. And Jane, tell us what you do.
I'm a nurse practitioner in medical oncology at the University of Cincinnati Cancer Center.
So you interact regularly with the research trials, and
Yes.
does it make you feel like there really is promise?
There is promise, and people like Ron who are willing to participate in clinical trials just help advance everything, and it's a very exciting time in cancer research.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. Well, we recently had a chance to go out to the Blood Healing Center and talk to them about this. This trial is testing a newer kind of therapy, and it works differently than traditional drugs. And for those living with pancreatic cancer, which we love to say, just like we live with high blood pressure now, it is showing remarkable promise. Watch this.
Good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you too.
Ron Solomon is currently enrolled in this trial. Dr. Devendra Sohal of Ohio's UC Health said he was a good candidate for it when scans showed his pancreatic cancer, which had spread to his liver, wasn't responding to standard treatment. The genetic makeup of his tumor also showed a certain gene.
And the gene can have a mutation, which I happen to have the mutation.
Dr. Sohal told me that mutation appears to provide a target for drugs that are not traditional chemo drugs that kill cancer, but rather...
These are now the most promising drugs in pancreatic cancer and many other cancers such as lung cancer, colon cancer. These are the so-called RAS inhibitors, RAS.
Research shows RAS inhibitors target a certain protein that signals the body to behave in a way that can stop cancer growth.
KRAS, KRAS is a gene that is an on switch in many of these cancers. Basically, it turns the cancer cells on. And these drugs try to turn that switch off so that the cancer cells stop growing. They essentially go to sleep.
One of the best things, Ron says he doesn't feel sick on this newer medication.
Throughout all of this, since the very beginning, I've been very, very fortunate.
The drugs come in pills taken daily. He's monitored for side effects every week. And as for his personal progress,
there's been a lot of promise with these RAS inhibitors, these RAS drugs in early trials. We hope we will see that success here.
So before we get to Ron's story, he says a lot of promise. What does that sort of mean with these drugs? We're seeing diseases stay stable, or?
We're seeing preliminary results that are very hopeful that these may be something new that we can add into treatments that we have. Yes.
Yeah. So Ron, I think what's really interesting and nice to know about this is it used to be they kind of threw everything at you and you would get really sick and not know if you had a benefit. now they can target this. How does that make you feel, that you're getting the right stuff in the right place?
Knowing that this is targeting for my cancer and for other cancers, but as far as the side effects go, I've had virtually no side effects. So since I was diagnosed a couple years ago, I have virtually had no side effects. So I've been feeling great, which I'm generally a positive attitude person, and it has helped to maintain that attitude. And attitude goes so far in fighting whatever disease you may have. So with the encouragement of a fabulous team at UC with Dr. Sohal and Jane, you know, it's like we are all in this together. And it's a journey. Yeah. And I'm a surviving cancer patient.
And you know, even years ago, we didn't necessarily hear that with this cancer. So I know this isn't a disease that impacts the whole family. You must feel like you kind of got an additional family.
Oh, we've been really blessed with the amount of support we've gotten. And I don't know if you guys know about the Caring Bridge, but we put that out and we've had people come out. Some people we haven't seen in 20 years have reached out. And it's very important to have family and friends to be supportive.
I so believe that. Don't you see that in your patient care? That those who have the really good support systems, it really helps.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So we have a little bit of the research team that is in your building, and one of the things that I thought was so interesting was you put the researchers in the same care center kind of for hope. I mean, if you see people working on it, is that part of the mission?
Absolutely, it's part of the mission. We're all together in a big team. One can't work without the other, and I think it's very helpful to all be together in the same building.
Yeah, you know, when you see the floors, you're like, hey, people are working to interrupt this. So the other thing that I think is so interesting is you said you've had virtually no symptoms. When have you heard that before?
So it is exciting for us to hear that. I mean, certainly we see Ron enjoying a good quality of life. He and Barb are big travelers. It's wonderful. They go on these trips and they send us photographs back. And that is really encouraging to us that our research is helping, allowing them to live their life while they're on treatment. And
you know, it sounds like from this trial, you're not there for days on end for getting infusions. Tell me a little bit about how this is conducted. What do you have to do?
So I'm in phase 2 or cycle 2 of this new treatment, and during the first cycle, which was about 5 weeks ago, I was going back every week where they would draw blood and EKGs and a physical exam. The medication is an oral drug, so there's no IV, there's no infusions. I take the drugs at home. Now that I'm in the second cycle, I go back every other week. And I'll do that, I think, for 2 cycles, and then it'll be once a month, I believe. And it's taking pills and timing the pills with meals so that I have to take the pills on an empty stomach. And it's a matter of monitoring and adjusting one's lifestyle when you're going to eat, because you take the pills on an empty stomach.
Right. So you have a little adjustment, but nothing like having to stay there for hours on end with infusions and whatnot. That's amazing. Yeah. So just some final thoughts then. How will you measure how this outcome is for him?
So we follow Ron, we look and see how he's doing physically, and then periodically there's scans. The scans really help us understand how his disease is responding to the treatment, and we will just keep going as long as he's tolerating it and as long as we're getting the results we're looking for.
Well, we're excited about that because he's said that he would let us follow along, and there's nothing like a journey that we can follow that can give people hope. So thank you. Thanks for being bold. Thanks for sharing what you do. For a long time, we didn't necessarily feel this kind of optimism.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to share this with people in Cincinnati and around the country.
Yeah, lucky me. And by the way, I got a lot of people who are like, that was my dentist. So you got a lot of people pulling for you. You know, it's humbling as a medical professional to have to ask for help, but thank you so much for putting it out there.
Thank you.
In spite of the odds. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here today. All right, just ahead, this crazy weather making your skin dry. You're not alone. How to moisturize from the outside in. We'll explain and look good, feel better. And we want to welcome Jamie, Robin, and Danielle. Great story of courage coming up on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Northern Kentucky Audiology, the Center for Closing the Health Gap, and Journey Light.
In Look Good, Feel Better today, these crazy spring weather days causing changes in your skin. You're probably wondering what's up. Well, if you are feeling dryness, the team at the Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center says you may need to add moisture from the outside in. They recommend facials and products with HA or hyaluronic acid.
Yeah, it's like your skin can't hold on to the moisture as well. So it doesn't seem like no matter how much you drink of water, you need to hydrate your skin topically. So hyaluronic acid is naturally in our skin. As we age, we lose those natural stores, and we need to supplement that.
You can get these products with HA during professional facials, but you can also buy many of them over the counter at places that sell cosmetics. All right, on now to our wonderful Mahaffey family, Jamie, Robin, Danielle. We had the privilege of meeting them sort of on Jamie's journey. Remind us a little bit about a few of the things that you've had for health challenges.
Went through a heart transplant in January 24. Went through an amputation on May 8th, 2024. So it's been
and that's not a small thing that the whole family doesn't feel.
Right.
Huh, Robin?
Right.
Yeah.
We've all felt it.
So I know that we had the privilege of just kind of hooking up with you and finding out more about your story. I know you were here at UC for a while and then at Vanderbilt. So we want to just let you know a little bit about how friends and family helped organize a little bit of what they now call a campaign called Mahaffey's Miracle. Watch this.
My physical is getting better. My heart is pumping strong.
The last time we talked to Jamie Mahaffey, he was in a hospital bed recovering from a January heart transplant at Tennessee's Vanderbilt University Medical Center. This is Jamie Mahaffey now.
I'm blessed to be here.
Jamie credits supportive family and friends for getting him back to work as a truancy officer here at Ohio's North College Hill Elementary School. He's dropped 160 pounds.
I'm just happy to be here. A different mindset on life.
These Mahaffey's Miracle t-shirts are now part of his co-workers' wardrobe.
We put on the back, Mr. Mahaffey, we got your back, and listed all of our names.
You see, Jamie had a bit of a setback this past spring due to an infection.
I had an amputation below my knee in May 8th. And that was different. That was probably worse than the heart transplant.
He also had to have a few toes removed on his other foot. That led these co-workers to sort of coach this former basketball coach back on his feet, literally.
God doesn't put you in a situation that he doesn't prepare you for. So.
His wife, Robin, says the outpouring of love and the $89,000 raised from Jamie's GoFundMe page, this is his updated one, was overwhelming.
To know that when crisis hits, you have people in your corner who are saying, keep going. You got it. Keep going. It means the world.
It's a great feeling.
And to be here to see him.
Yeah, so God's blessed me a lot, and I don't take it for granted at all. So it's good.
Still feel that way?
Yeah.
So a couple things. You don't go through this without it sort of changing you from the inside out. And you are still blessing others,
yes.
In College Hill and whatnot. So tell me a little bit about that process. Did you wrestle with God and you got here now
It was, I was reading something the other day. It says, you're blessed in darkness. And so in a time that I was going through that, there were miracles happening and there were plans being set. And my new plan is to go out and search for men and get men to make sure their health is the number one concern. I think sometimes as men, our pride is in front of us and things like that. So my venture that God has put me on is to seek out men and find them and say, hey, your health is important, you're important. So I do that every day with my teachers and everyone who's around me, or just my family members, or just at church.
So what's so interesting about that is that we often get accused of nagging, if you tell your guy, hey, you gotta go.
Right. Absolutely.
And yet guys are so stubborn. So that's a wonderful mission.
Yeah.
And I guess this, the same question for you. How did you get from that crisis mode to serving others?
So I guess God is amazing. And I often asked him, Lord, why this pause right now in my life? You know, he was going through, we were gone for 6 months, I had kids at home, and this, like, Lord, why this pause? And I think he was just preparing us for how he was going to begin to propel us into just something a little bit bigger. And so, you know, with his, you know, kind of shifting his mission from, you know, children and young people who we worked with forever to adults, you know, he's going to need some support. And so we're just, you know, just prepared to see where God takes us next.
Wow, quite the journey. And I guess he's probably done a little work in your life too, huh?
Oh my goodness, so much. Yeah, even just throughout his whole journey, being at home with my little brother, it was a big step in my faith and just understanding that, like, no matter what, if I don't know what's going to happen the next day, if I don't know what's going to happen in the hour, he has that plan already. So we talked a lot about throughout his journey, there were puzzle pieces that were being made even before we knew. So the year before, I stopped playing volleyball and went home and was teaching, and he knew that I needed to be home with my brother, or he knew that my mom needed to have certain days off, and having other people come into our lives and put these puzzle pieces together and seeing the whole picture. Like, God knew this picture before we even knew it was going to happen, and just seeing those puzzle pieces come together was really big on my faith and big on everybody else's faith too.
I so appreciate you guys sharing the emotional side, because lots of times we share the physical journey and you don't hear about what I think is probably the hardest part. So was there a time where you weren't sure if Dad was going to be able to walk you down the aisle?
Oh my goodness, yes.
We got a new engagement here, and I'm kind of excited for that, and I bet you wondered the same thing.
Yeah, that was one of the, when I left for Vanderbilt, and Danielle was like, you have to walk me down the aisle, so you got to come back. So that was also pushing the back of my head too, you know, and then I had boys who are in college and playing college basketball.
Yeah, so update us on Evan. We all know if you've heard of Evan Mahafey. He's been at Ohio State, and we hear that name all the time.
This year, Evan helped me deal with patience.
Really?
He went through a lot at Ohio State mentally, and it was one of those things that, you know, God has another plan. Like we always say, like, there's a plan ahead. And so we just told him, be patient, you know, wait. And he
imagine that, someone who had to go through a transplant, all that, understanding that.
And so he really helped me learn patience and learn humility. He was very humble, and just recently he entered a portal, and now he's going to play with his brother. He calls it the family affair.
Oh, well, we can't wait to follow up with that. So where's he going to be?
Akron with his brother.
No kidding. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
Yes.
Well, we are so grateful that you're sharing this part of the journey with us, and we are going to continue to follow it. Your health is good now, though, right?
Health is good now. I have a mission with our corporation, Mahafey Incorporated. We go out, and I'm going out and do motivational speaking now and speak about health. And with my sister Renee with Health Gap, we're going to do a lot of things together.
I'm excited for that. She's coming back to talk to us about that in just a couple weeks. All right, God bless you guys. Good to have you. Can't wait to follow the next step in the journey.
Thank you so much.
Which we love. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Being so real with us. Great to have you. All right, just ahead, those late nights might be hard on your health for more reasons than you know. Stay with us for Hope You Know and what's happening in health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Mount St. Joseph University, Elder Law Lawyers, and Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center.
Couple of headlines to leave you with before we go. Thousands of lives could potentially be saved if more people got lung cancer screenings. Study by Mass General Brigham found only 18% of people eligible for lung cancer screenings actually get them. Lowering your cholesterol can also lower your risk of dementia or memory problems. A study published in the British Medical Journal found that people with low levels of LDL cholesterol, that's the bad kind, in their blood have a 26% lower risk of dementia. So you want that low to help your head. Many studies have established that lowering cholesterol also protects against cardiovascular disease. Excessive screen time by teen girls leading to sleep deprivation and depression, researchers now say. A study in Sweden found when students ages 12 to 16 get more screen time, their duration and quality of sleep suffers. Both boys and girls had disrupted sleep, but girls in particular saw greater problems with depression linked to phone and tablet use. Finally, we want to leave you before you go with what we hope you know about your mental health. Researchers say night owls face a higher risk of depression. A study published in the journal PLOS Medicine found that people who stay up later have higher rates of depression than morning people. Now, this is likely due to poorer sleep quality, higher alcohol consumption. The authors of the study say this information can be particularly useful in battling and preventing depression in young people who have a tendency to stay up late, or do morning people just have better health habits? Whatever it is, I hope you are up with us this morning feeling great. We'll be back same time next week at this hour. So glad you were with us today. Until then, everybody, stay well and stay tuned.